Press the bell icon on the YouTube app and never miss another update from Sebastian Fitness Solutions. What is up, everybody? This is Sebastian from Sebastian Fitness Solutions, and in today's video I'm going to talk to you guys about whether or not you should work out when you're sick. Now, when I'm talking about sickness and working out when you're being sick, let me be very clear and specify that I'm talking about the short-term, really small illnesses like a cold or a cough or a very slight fever, and I'm not talking about chronic long-term illnesses or chronic diseases or medical conditions. For the latter, you have to consult with your doctor or your medical professional, and they would guide you on a case-by-case basis depending on what you have and whether or not you should be working out given those circumstances. But in this video, I'm going to be discussing about these small short-term illnesses, like whatever all of us end up suffering at some point of time or the other. And if you're someone just like me who loves working out, just loves training so much that you just don't feel, you feel like life is empty when you're not training, then you probably have this gone through your mind, well, when you're sick, that, oh man, I want to train as well. Should I do that? And if that's the case, this video is for you. Now, before I get into the physiological side of things with training when you're sick, whether it's a good idea, whether you can do it, and whether even if not, is beneficial for you, let me first discuss a very important thing that we should all consider, and that is the social responsibility side of things. If you're sick, especially with something that's contagious like a cold or a cough, the last thing you want to do is go to a gym and pass that on to others. The gym is not a very hygienic place to begin with. There's a lot of pathogens going on, a lot of people's germs, and the last thing you want to do is be a douchebag and go out there and spread your germs to them. So be a good person, don't do that. If you're sick, especially with something contagious, just stay at home and save others the pain that you're going through. But let's say, for example, you want to go and train outdoors, not in a closed space, you don't want to go and train outside, or you want to train, in a facility at a time when nobody's there, or, you have your own home gym, or let's just say that you just don't give a crap and you'd rather want to go and train anyway. If that's the case and you want to know whether you should work out when you're sick, then that's what we'll discuss right now. So from a physiological side of things, a very simple reference that you can follow when you're sick and whether you should train or not is if your sickness is either above the neck or below the neck. And when I take the example of something above the neck, that would be the common cold, cough, slight throat infection, maybe even a slight fever. Whereas something that's below the neck would be a lower respiratory tract infection like pneumonia or bronchitis or something to do with your stomach. Now, if you happen to have an issue that is below the neck, it's probably not a very good idea to train because something like a lower respiratory tract infection, bronchitis, pneumonia is a very serious form of an illness. It does tax your immune system quite a bit. It takes some time to recover from, and the last thing you want to do is take away from that recovery and go and train. That's probably not going to be a very enjoyable or a very sustainable experience for you either. So if you have a problem like that, you definitely want to stay out of the gym. Same thing if you have a stomach issue. Anybody and everybody knows that if you have something that's wrong with your stomach, you just can't function properly. You can't move around. It's just a very horrible experience. And the last thing you want to do is start pushing yourself, physically when you've got a stomach issue going on. Okay? So anything under the neck, mostly, pretty much you want to avoid training at that time and let it recover completely before you get back in the gym. However, when you look at something that's above the neck, like a basic cold, a cough, sore throat, maybe even slight fever, you can still train with that. You can make your way around it. There are different times in which you can start getting back into training, and it may not be as negative for you. In fact, it can actually help you to some extent. So let's say you are in a situation where you've got a sickness like that above the neck, and you're wondering whether you should train or not. The point here is at what time you're wondering this question. If, let's say, you feel that you're about to get this, and a lot of us get that. Personally, I know that I get a feeling slightly when I feel like I'm maybe getting a cold or maybe getting a cough or something of that sort. If you're at that stage but you haven't gotten the full-blown disease, I would recommend you to just skip the gym for at least that day. Because the reason is that when you train, what happens is that your immune system actually is suppressed for about an hour or so after your session is done. And if you happen to have some pathogen in you for that sickness, whether it's a cold or a cough, it can get to you at that one point, at that specific time, because your immunity is suppressed. So by avoiding a session on that day, if you feel that you're somewhat close to a sickness, you may be in a position to help avert that, and your body could just fight away those pathogens. And this is something that I've experienced personally, when I can tell when I'm getting sick somewhat. And nowadays I deliberately, they say, skip that one session. And lo and behold, I'm able to just get over it, and I don't really fall sick. And it's actually been about almost 1.5 to 2 years since I've gotten like sick, with even something as basic as that. And I'm someone who used to get sick very often. So if you are someone who's like feeling like, okay, maybe it's coming about, I would advise skip that one session, and you may just avoid it altogether. Now the second case is, let's say you already have the sickness. You already got the cold, and now you're wondering whether I should train. Well, for starters, if it's that very first day or for the first 2 or 3 days, maybe I would say avoid it. Let your body recover. It's suddenly just dealt with this sickness, so it's got to go all out in trying to fight the pathogens. So let it do its job. Let it recover from that initial stage especially. Give it rest, at least for that first 1 or 2 days, maybe even the third day. Once you're done with that, that is when you can consider, maybe you should actually consider getting back into training. And this is for a number of benefits that can come about just by getting back into activity. Because when you get sick, you get into this lethargic kind of mentality, and that laziness can also further, make the symptoms of sickness and laziness kind of perpetuate. So by getting out of bed and getting out of your laziness and just going out and training, you can feel better. You'll feel more lively, especially if you're someone who enjoys activity, as a lot of us do subconsciously, somewhat or the other, because the body loves moving around. So by doing that, that itself can help you set your path on recovery. At the same time, there are certain physiological things that can also happen while you work out that can assist in recovery. One of those things is that when you train, let's say when you're doing weights or you're running, you have to breathe. You need a lot of oxygen to sustain that activity. And if you have a blocked nose or something, that can get in the way. So what the body would do is it would send more blood into your upper respiratory tract area to help facilitate further intake of oxygen. And that can actually help clear out the congestion that you have over there, therefore giving you at least some relief right then and there from the cold and the stuffiness that you've been feeling. And this is something that I've experienced personally. A lot of people would as well. So it's a very common thing, and that's how you can assist in in letting that cold kind of go away a little sooner. But the same thing with the fever, for example. If you have a slight fever and you go out there and run and elevate your body temperature, it is actually seen to kind of relieve that fever faster than otherwise if you were resting. So if you're somebody who's in that position, you've given that first couple of days of rest, and you get into that next final phase, going out and training to some extent will actually help you. Okay, so that's something that you should consider. However, if you do that, be sure to be a little bit smart about it. Don't directly jump into your regular training routine with all the same volume and same amount of work, because that's going to really tire you out and going to make you feel like crap, and maybe even make you relapse into sickness. What you should do is maybe go into that workout and maybe go half the volume or 1/3 the volume, enough to sustain your strength and your stamina and whatever that you're training for, but not so much that it actually ends up being a hardcore workout, further suppressing your immune system, further making you weaker, and therefore making you possibly relapse into sickness. So hopefully this video gives you a complete holistic insight on what to do when you're sick. It was a little bit lengthy, but I wanted to cover all aspects of different kinds and different levels of sickness, as well as how you can go about doing things. So hopefully this one video will give you that all-encompassing perspective on this topic, and you would know what to do next time or you fall sick, hopefully, which won't be anytime soon. So I hope you guys found this video informative, and if you did, don't forget to give this a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, go ahead and click that subscribe button right now, and share this video with anybody that you know who was wondering about this topic or could find this helpful. I'm pretty sure all of us would, especially those who are working out. So hopefully you will do that as well. And that's about it, guys. I'll see you in the next video, and until then, keep learning, keep growing. Hey, thanks for watching that video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Oh, and click that video right there.